Welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom, the show where we explore the powers hidden in your own body and do our best to sound like we know exactly what we're talking about. I'm Ethan Foster, your steadfast, slightly bewildered tour guide on this journey through all things health and wellness.
And I'm Alara Sky, the comedic think tank who's here to prove that science can be delightful, enlightening, and occasionally sprinkled with witty remarks. We're glad you could join us for another episode of witty banter, occasional genius, and hopefully some ideas that inspire you to move around a bit more.
That's right. Today we'll be diving into something Dr. Joseph Mercola calls the muscle-brain connection. It's that phenomenon where you realize if you don't move your muscles enough, your brain basically threatens to check out. Or at least mine does.
Classic case of use it or lose it, right? But it's so much more than that. We're talking about how your muscles and brain are constantly communicating, as though they're pen pals who just can't stop sending messages back and forth. The result? Better mood, sharper focus, and a brain that's less prone to meltdown.
I like to imagine my biceps sending postcards to my brain saying, "Hey buddy, we did a push-up today. Is that enough?" And my brain replies, "Sure, but can you throw in a brisk walk to make me extra happy?"
Precisely. Muscles release little biochemical signals called myokines, the body's own brand of tweet storms, but with constructive content. They help your brain remain sharp, support new neuron growth, and generally keep things humming along upstairs. Then your brain returns the favor by coordinating movements and keeping you from walking into walls, ideally.
If you've ever gone for a long walk after being stuck behind a desk all day and felt your mind suddenly clear up, that's not just fresh air. It's also those sweet myokines. Plus, movement balances your neurotransmitters, keeps your mood steady, and helps you stress less. But apparently the real star of the show is something called BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor.
BDNF is like fertilizer for your neurons, or if you're partial to gardening imagery, it's the miracle grow for your brain cells. Move around, get your heart pumping, and BDNF helps new neurons sprout in your hippocampus, the region that supports memory and learning. So if you've misplaced your car keys in the fridge recently, maybe a little exercise could help keep those memory lapses at bay.
Wait, you've never put your keys in the fridge?
No comment. Anyway, it's not just biochemical signals. There's a mechanical side to exercise too. Your muscles contracting, your nerves getting gently tugged during certain movements, all of that physical force triggers even more neuron growth. A recent study found that mechanical stress from muscle contractions influences how your neurons develop. It's basically saying, hello, muscles calling neurons, time to wake up. Let's get to work.
Yes, and I find it fascinating that these mechanical forces are just as important as the chemical ones. It's like the muscle is sending your neurons an embossed invitation on fancy stationery. We request your presence for a networking event in the brain. Formal attire encouraged, and apparently the neurons RSVP with a resounding, wouldn't miss it for the world.
Exactly. The result is a synergy that supports motor neuron growth, better communication between brain cells, and an overall more functional network. Or in simpler terms, move your body, and your brain glows brighter than a holiday light display. That alone should make you want to stand up and do a little dance.
And speaking of dancing, let's talk about the type of exercise we should consider. Dr. Mercola points out that moderate intensity is a sweet spot. High-intensity training might work for some folks, but apparently it can also drive your cortisol through the roof if done too often, turning your attempt at health into an accidental sabotage.
Exactly. High intensity can be great in small doses, but if you're always sprinting at top speed, your body starts shouting, "Too much stress, buddy." So moderate intensity is where you still need to breathe a bit harder, but you can hold a conversation without feeling like your lungs are about to run away. It's not about punishing your body. It's about nurturing it.
And about 30 minutes or so seems to be enough to unlock the magic, anymore, and its bonus points. But that half-hour window is where a lot of the good stuff happens, from mood boosts to sharper attention, and apparently new neurons deciding to come out and play.
It's also nice if you can do something outdoors. There's data showing that when you exercise in the great outdoors, you get additional benefits. Nature's soothing effect, a surge of creativity, and often a better sense of well-being. It's like a buy one, get one free deal for your brain.
Some people call it attention restoration, right? That's the concept that your brain gets bombarded by tasks and screens all day. But if you move in nature, your mental processor can finally breathe. It's like stepping away from your overcrowded email inbox to stroll through a botanical garden. Suddenly you're calm, you're alert, and your creativity levels rise.
Precisely. It's like your prefrontal cortex sees a tree, hears some birds, and says, "Oh, so this is what peace feels like." Meanwhile, your hippocampus picks up more BDNF like a free gift at the door, so you end up with sharper thinking. Outdoor exercise can also help regulate sleep cycles, thanks to natural light exposure. And better sleep equals better memory consolidation.
We should also mention that mixing up your exercises yields broader benefits. Aerobic activities like jogging or cycling help build your endurance and deliver oxygen-rich blood to your brain. Resistance training triggers more of those magical myokines. Doing both can give you a well-rounded brain boost. It's like inviting all the beneficial forces to your mental party.
Right. Variety is the spice of life, and apparently it's also the spice of good brain function. Of course, that doesn't mean you need to do triathlons every weekend. The point is to keep your routine interesting, engage different muscle groups, and let those beneficial signals keep flowing.
Let's not forget the social factor. Exercising with a friend or a group can boost your mood in ways that solitary exercise might not. That sense of camaraderie and laughter is unbelievably good for your mental health. Your brain picks up on those social vibes, releases extra feel-good chemicals, and you end up more motivated.
Indeed, you can't put a price on camaraderie, or at least, none of the health clubs have tried to do so yet. But exercising with friends can push you to stay consistent, add a layer of accountability, and keep you from giving up prematurely. Plus, if you're me, you'll insert comedic quips into every squat session.
I'm sure your workout partners love that. Just remember to keep the comedic timing in check when you're holding a plank. Laughing in a plank is dangerously close to performing a faceplant.
Word to the wise, yes. Now, Dr. Mercola's big caution is about the downsides of doing too much high-intensity exercise. Overdo it, and your cortisol surges, basically wearing down your tissues over time. That includes muscle, bone, and even your poor brain. So it's a balancing act. Feel that sweet spot, get that heart rate up, but don't treat every workout like an Olympic final.
Right? Apparently, once you go beyond around 130 to 140 minutes of heavy resistance training a week, you lose the longevity benefits you might have gained. And for those who think, if 40 minutes of weights is good, 4 hours must be amazing, the science says, not so fast. You end up in a zone where all that stress counteracts your original healthy intention.
It's funny how we tend to think more is always better. In reality, it's like cooking. There's a perfect temperature and time to get a meal just right. You don't set the oven to 900 degrees to bake your brownies in 30 seconds. You'll just scorch the pan, set off every smoke detector in the house, and end up in tears, holding burnt lumps of regret.
Which is exactly how some people feel when they push themselves to exhaustion, day after day at the gym. Instead of healthy brownies, you get the charred remains of your sanity. Better to aim for that moderate, consistent routine that provides synergy between your muscles and brain.
Now, if someone's listening and wondering how long they have to do this before they see results, the rough estimate is at least 3 weeks. Give your body and brain a chance to adapt. If you're new to exercising, that first phase can feel awkward. But over time, your dopamine reward system starts to strengthen, and you actually look forward to your workouts. Your neurons get the memo that you plan to stick around for a while, so they start getting busy building new connections.
Then there's that phenomenon of the persistence high. Around the 20 to 30 minute mark, when you've been moderately exercising, it's as if your body finally flips a switch. You get that mild euphoria, a bit of mental clarity, and even pain relief. Your endocannabinoid system perks up, and you feel like you could solve a Rubik's Cube while humming a show tune. That's when you know you're in the zone.
Just don't be surprised if you suddenly start thinking big thoughts. Why haven't I called my mother yet this week? Or, is it time to rewatch that entire sci-fi series from the 90s? The point is, your brain's engaged, ready to form new synapses, and your mood's in a good place to take on life's little puzzles.
So, how do we put all this into a practical routine? First, we pick an activity or two that we genuinely enjoy. That might be dancing, a brisk walk, yoga, light jogging, swimming, you name it. Second, we aim for that moderate level of intensity, at least 30 minutes a day, a few times a week. Third, we give ourselves a bit of patience. No miracles happen overnight.
Then we add in social workouts. Maybe find a friend or group that wants to join in. Share the laughs, share the muscle aches, and watch the mental benefits multiply. And finally, change it up. If you normally run, try tossing in a few resistance workouts. If you normally lift weights, take a day off to walk in the park. Variety helps keep your muscles and neurons on their proverbial toes.
For those who love a challenge, it's fine to add some high-intensity sessions periodically. Just don't overdo it. Remember that your body can only handle so much stress before it starts releasing more cortisol than you want, and you end up backtracking on all your progress.
And let's not forget the kids and older adults. Kids especially benefit from exercise. There's evidence it improves focus, behavior, and academic performance. Meanwhile, older adults can safeguard against cognitive decline with steady movement. So it's literally for every stage of life.
The muscle-brain connection is probably more dynamic than we ever realized. Muscles release those chemical signals, myokines like BDNF, irisin, and FGF21, while the mechanical stretch of muscle contractions triggers additional neuron growth. On top of that, the brain, in return, manages your coordination and ensures your balance is intact, so you don't trip over your shoelaces every time you decide to sprint for the ice cream truck.
That's the kind of synergy we can all appreciate. Move your body, sharpen your mind. And it makes sense from an evolutionary standpoint, right? If our ancestors needed to move to find food and avoid saber-toothed cats, it helped if their brains lit up with fresh neurons when they stayed active.
Imagine the daily routine of a cave person. If I don't run from that giant cat, my day ends abruptly. So maybe I'll do daily sprints to keep my reflexes sharp. It's basically the earliest form of high-stakes interval training, but the payoff was survival, not just looking good in a swimsuit.
Exactly. Fortunately, we face fewer saber-toothed cats today, but the principle stands. Movement benefits the entire system: body, brain, mood, resilience. If you look at the studies, it's clear that consistent activity helps preserve memory, fend off cognitive decline, and keep us nimble. And we're not just talking about older adults. Younger people also get a boost in concentration and creativity.
And if you ever feel you're too busy, think about how a little brisk walk can re-energize your productivity. You may spend less time staring blankly at your computer and more time actually getting things done. It's a net positive for your schedule. Ironically, taking some time to exercise might give you more time overall because you're sharper afterward.
Or if you have a toddler who seems to bounce off the walls, maybe a bit of structured, playful physical activity helps them focus on something other than drawing on your walls with crayons. Everyone wins.
Precisely. So, if you needed one more reason to prioritize movement, let it be the knowledge that your brain practically buzzes with excitement when you do. We're basically designed to move. Sedentary life is an invention of modern times, and our poor neurons are left in the lurch.
So let's summarize. Our muscles talk to our brains via these fancy signals called myokines, plus mechanical forces that stimulate neuron growth. Our brains respond by rewarding movement with better memory, improved mood, and increased attention. Outdoor activities can further amplify these effects thanks to nature's restorative powers. Socializing during exercise dials up the fun and the cognitive benefits, and variety keeps the system engaged.
Meanwhile, too much high-intensity training can set off the stress alarm, culminating in elevated cortisol levels that wreck the very health we're trying to build. So, we find that sweet spot of moderate intensity. Make it last around half an hour, give or take, and watch your brain flourish over weeks and months.
If that's not cellular wisdom, I don't know what is. It's literally your cells whispering to each other, keep it balanced, keep it fun, and keep it consistent. And in the long run, you'll enjoy a resilient mind, more agile thinking, and better overall well-being.
No magic pills here, just the everyday miracle of coordinated biology. Thanks for joining us on this journey. I'm Ethan Foster, champion of moderate intensity exercise and occasional fridge key storage incidents.
And I'm Alara Sky, your loyal comedic educator, who'll always remind you that a strong body really does lead to a strong mind. We hope you'll take a cue from Dr. Mercola's insights, lace up those sneakers, or maybe roll out that yoga mat and give your brain some well-deserved love.
We'll catch you next time on Cellular Wisdom, where we keep exploring how the smallest components of your biology can yield the biggest benefits in your life. Until then, stay curious and stay active.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Now step away from your screen and go move. Your neurons will thank you later.
Enjoy your day, and remember, if your muscles send postcards to your brain, you'd best write back. Take care.